Welcome back into the Irish Recruiting Podcast. I'm your host, Brian Smith, longtime college football recruiting analyst. Just want to give a few thoughts on the Miami hosting Notre Dame game and kind of an overview of why I think the game will play out the way that I see it. And it's going to be twofold. Recruiting in the portal, I do everything through those lenses. On roster management, this will be no different. But we're going to look at it in a very mathematical way as well. There are two things you got to have to win big. You got to have culture, you got to have talent. Mixing the two can be a very intoxicating elixir, but can also be one that leads you to the wrong places. So let me ask you, without looking, how many transfer portal players just for this year do you think the Miami Hurricanes took? And then same question for the Notre Dame Fighting Irish. How many for each? The Canes took 19. Notre Dame took 8. Why is that significant? When you bring in portal guys, and Miami's buying guys left and right, they pretty much got an unlimited checkbook. They're buying guys left and right. How well do you think that works in the locker room? Why do you think so many recruits leave Miami? Do the math. Number 2 on that, it's not just that you brought in portal guys, you probably had holes. Like Miami's secondary. It was a sieve last year. Notre Dame, not so much. Now, everybody still brings in a player here or there to fix something. Quarterback for Notre Dame, for instance, has been part of it. All right. Miami had a far road to go compared to Notre Dame when Mario got there, compared with Marcus Freeman, and they're both in year 4. But for them to be at 19, that also tells you that their roster, even after 3 years, really wasn't what it needed to. And it's because he's been greedy. Cristobal's been greedy at using the portal, and he's sacrificed some culture. That is the biggest reason that I think Notre Dame will win tonight's game. The portal, if you look at the teams that advanced in the playoff, like not just made it, but advanced, smaller numbers from the transfer portal. Texas, Penn State, Notre Dame, and Ohio State combined last year. That's your Final Four teams. Combined, they had 35 players they'd taken in the 2024 portal cycle. Combined. Miami had over half of that this year by themselves for the 25 group. I think Miami's going to be better this year in some ways, but I still have questions about their secondary because they don't let their players develop and they run off guys. They don't care. That's a problem. It may work for a game. They may beat Notre Dame. It's possible. But looking at the metrics, it's been proven already since the short time the portal's been in existence. Teams that take fewer usually do better. You just can't shoot yourself in the foot with, just dumb penalties and stuff like that. It's pretty common sense. But that's the biggest reason I like Notre Dame tonight. Number 2 here, beyond the math, it's elite players and looking at it from a balanced perspective. Every position group, DB, linebacker, DN, D tackle, blah, 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 and then on to the offense too. Are you consistent in every position group? Do you go through with any team? It doesn't have to be Notre Dame and Miami. Do you look at it and you say, man, this team, the Fighting Irish, they've got such a hole and fill in the position group? Do they just not have anything at all in terms of an NFL player like junior, senior, fifth-year senior? I think Jason Onye will play in the NFL, and I think D tackle is their weakest position. Freeman now, he talked it up in his fall camp press conference, but he said D tackle had taken the biggest jump. I think it needed to, but I think that's their weakest spot, and I still think they've got an NFL player. Onye is going to get drafted. That's my opinion. I don't know about Gabriel Rubio because he's always seemingly hurt, but he could get drafted if he has a good year. We'll see. Kurt Heinisch, he's got another year of eligibility. I think he'll be back, but he may make a later round selection, but I don't necessarily think so. He's not a measurables guy. So if you want to pick on a spot, go to D tackle. But they've got guys that fit the system. They play within it, and they help open up the linebackers to get a lot of tackles for loss and sacks. And linebacker group is loaded. Secondary, it's insane. offensive line. I think all 5 guys that will start, plus multiple players that are on the bench for Notre Dame, will at least, at minimum, make it to the NFL Combine and have tryouts, make practice squads, etc. I think Notre Dame has the deepest offensive line in college football, and a few guys that have a chance to be first-round picks. I don't think that we're going to worry about that. Running back, it's obvious. Jarian Price will make it to the NFL. Jeremiah Love will be a first or second round pick. Running backs don't necessarily go high, but he has a chance to be a first rounder, even though he's a running back, the least valued position by the NFL. Wide receiver, they've got several different guys that have the possibility. Jordan Faison, Jordan Greathouse, and then, of course, Malachi Fields is the most prototypical receiver Notre Dame's had for the NFL draft in several years, 6'4", 220. Eli Raridan at tight end. Every position, you kind of look at it like that. And then, of course, you got quarterback. I think CJ can make it to the NFL, but it's his first start. That's the big question. No idea exactly how he's going to play, but he's such an accurate passer, and he has so many good pieces around him. I think he'll at least be adequate in this game. He could cost them, though. Wouldn't be shocked if CJ's the reason they don't win. It's his first start. It's possible. But looking at the totality, Notre Dame is a much more balanced roster than Miami because they got so many questions in the secondary. I need to see it. Their nickel and their safety position, they got to prove it. And then their 2 corners are very, very talented. They're only sophomores. Will they take the bait on double moves? How will they handle the screen game, outside run when a guard comes around? I need to see them in those situations. They're not quite as balanced there, and I think that's the biggest factor. Notre Dame's secondary compared to theirs, Notre Dame's congruent. They're putting theirs together. It's polar opposite. We'll see how that goes. The other thing with them, forget the young man's name, but the transfer from Rutgers is coming off ACL surgery, missed last year. Need to see how he plays for the Canes, especially in coverage. Run defense, I think he'll be pretty good in the box. Big, powerful kid. That's fine. Eli Raridan, Jaden Greathouse, Jordan Faison, guys in the middle of the field, I think Notre Dame will be better than Miami. Again, balanced talent, position to position, is going to be important. And then I need to see their receivers beyond the 2 transfers. I think they're pretty good players. I don't think they're going to win a lot of one-on-ones against Christian Gray, Devontae Smith, and definitely Leonard Moore. I think they'll avoid Leonard Moore, rightfully so, like the plague. But you're going to have to sacrifice the run game if your receivers aren't consistently winning one-on-one matchups against Notre Dame's NFL DBs. I don't think any team on the schedule not named USC is going to do that. USC's got the best receiver group Notre Dame will face this year, and I don't think it's that close because of the combination of not just receivers, but the quarterback. Maeva has already proven he can throw against Notre Dame, so I'll assume he'll do it again. But let's see what Miami is able to do with the transfer quarterback, 2 transfer receivers that lost their top couple of guys at tight end. I do like Elijah Lofton. He's very talented, a sophomore. But I'm not thinking they're going to win as many of those battles as Notre Dame. I really don't. And then finally, this is just straightforward opinion, but this is a stat you can take any way you want. Who do you want making a clutch decision for your team? Mario Cristobal or Marcus Freeman? I'll take Marcus Freeman. So with that, I think this will be a close, ugly, grinded out kind of game. But I think the scoring will be a little higher than some think because I think there will be dramatic turns. There will be multiple. So it's not that you're going 80 yards to score. It's that you're going 40. I will be surprised unless it's the first drive of the game and everything's scripted. My prediction for the game is Miami will only score 20 points. They will have at most 1 drive of 70 or more yards where they actually drive it. The only way they score on something longer than that is if there's a bust. And that's on Notre Dame. You got to take advantage if you're Miami. They will not be able to march the ball down the field 10, 12, 14, 16 play drives. Notre Dame's secondary is, on paper at least, far better than Miami's pass catchers because of the experience, not only just in their years, but how long they've played together. And that's a big deal. And it's also partially due to the fact that Notre Dame's culture and their system's been in place, even though they changed the coordinator, really didn't change that much. I'm not sure what Heatherman's going to run for Miami against Notre Dame because, no offense to Minnesota, they don't have the same athletes that Miami does. He might play a lot of cloud coverage, what have you, but I think Notre Dame will see a lot of defense that is trying to keep everything in front and make, rightfully so, CJ earn his way down the field. I don't think he'll be very good at that either. But they do have Jeremiah Love and Malachi Fields, among others, Greathouse, Eli Raridan. They should be able to nickel and dime Miami a little bit better. These guys have been in the system. Fields is the one add-on from the portal, but he's 6'4", 220. There isn't a team in the country that wouldn't have liked to have added him. Major addition for Notre Dame. So I like Notre Dame in this one, 31-20. I think it'll be a late score to ice the game. I think it will be ugly. I don't think they will play particularly well, either team offensively. But you're breaking in new quarterbacks for both teams. I know one's more experienced, but they still have transfers all over the place. I think this game will be a microcosm of a line and scrimmage game because both teams have plenty of talent on offensive and defensive line. That's the best matchups. But Notre Dame's got more congruency, more guys bought in just to be at Notre Dame and not because of an NIL payment. I like Notre Dame for that reason. Again, I got Notre Dame winning 31-20. Thank you once again for checking out the Irish Recruiting Podcast. We're going to be coming back and talking about this game. I'll probably podcast on Tuesday. Might be able to get one in, but I got a long drive ahead of me after the game, so I'm not sure if I'll pod on Monday. But we will see you again soon on the Irish Recruiting Podcast.